Okay, I thought we'd add one more element in here. If you noticed, I placed a cat just up on a little platform here on the side. You can find the cat under animals, just right there. And I have the cat saying, "You will need to find me." And I just did that by clicking on this little speech bubble here. What we're going to do is when the player walks across this trigger right here, we're going to have the cat dissolve and disappear. So I have that trigger. If you remember, this trigger back here is trigger 1. I called this one trigger 2. And the first thing we're going to need to do is we're just going to duplicate this right here. So there's another whole if command right here, and we're just going to pull out this for each element in here because we're going to be doing something a little bit different. And the item we want triggered is trigger 2. That's this trigger right here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to data and we're going to create a variable. And we're going to set a variable, and we're just going to call it transparency. And we're going to set that variable to 0. So you're just going to click on values, go down to this little number block here and slide that in. And sorry, I said set to 0, I meant set to 100. Because we want to count down and make the animal look like it's dissolving. So it's going to start at 100. Then what we're going to do, and I'll just close these up to keep everything clean, is we're going to go to control and we're going to find a forever loop. So just snag that out and put it right there. Now what we want to happen is we want to change the transparency by -1 in a forever loop. So it's going down, 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 down. So we're going to go back down to our data. We're going to grab up this change block right here, and we're going to be changing the transparency. And it should be, there it is, change the transparency by -1 right there. Okay, now what do we want to change? Well, we want to change the opacity of the item. So we're going to go up to actions, and I believe it's generic, and it's just the first one right here. And set the opacity of the cat, which is right there, to the variable transparency. So we're just going to go back down to data, go to variables again, and we're just going to slide the transparency variable right there. So this means that it's going to be, it started at 100 and then it's going to drop down in a forever loop. Now we need to make sure that this loop stops. So what we want to happen is if the transparency equals 0, then it breaks out of the loop. So we're just going to grab an if function right here, and we're just going to grab this little if block right here. So if the transparency, which is just back inside my data right here, if the transparency, let's grab transparency, equals 0, we want this to break out of the loop and stop. So that's going to be under control, under loops, and just down right here, break out of the loop. Actually, now that I think about it, this needs to be set as a global variable. So we're going to put it up. Oh, looks like I've already done it actually. Anyway, just to make sure, and I'll pull my double out there, that you set this up here on the top. Otherwise, it will not work. And there's one more thing we need to do. Because our cat is actually talking right here, we need to stop it from speaking. So to do that, we're just going to go to generic, and we're going to get the cat right here to say nothing at all. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, so let's just grab my key, walk through my door. We should have the mice, oops, should have the mice coming across the bottom there, coming around the corner here. The bat should fly at me. And let's look up our cat, and there it goes. Okay, pretty cool. All right, hope you find that useful for your